Yeah, mine says we're live.
Hi, everybody. We're trying take 2 for Politarology. Me and Sibyl are on. Cleo will be on here shortly. And thank you for your patience.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning back in. This will be a fun show. She's waiting for Colleen's waiting for her sister, Cleo.
There she is.
Yay!
Hey,
Okay, that should work now, right?
Yeah, this looks much better.
Good job.
Okay, and Sunny Vibes is here. Jumped from Sybil to me. Thank you, Sunny Vibes. Okay. All right. So, sorry about that, everybody. So shall we start with who shall we start with?
Rudy.
Okay. So let me share my screen and pull up Rudy. I have a whole bunch of things over here. Let's see. Trump and Rudy and just Rudy. Oh, I did. Okay, hang on one second. I just have to get Rudy up. There's Rudy, do you love me? Rudy, do you care?
I've got some stuff on Rudy.
Me. Go ahead.
Should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, because I got to pull his chart up and switch the screen.
So, Rudy, I see him. He definitely was selling pardons. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Drinking, maybe something else, some other kind of pills or something. And so the way I see him is like the Joker and Batman. Now, I don't think there's a Batman, but he's like, he reminds me of that. And I heard this other psychic, he's talking, but he's so full of it. He's like one of those, like, well, let me show you this.
Yeah.
Another psychic doing that. I think that was Susan Lynn. I want to give her credit where credit's due. And where he'd like, well, how about if I give you this? So I do feel like he's talking, but he's like trying to still play the game. He's such a player.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, and I see him in a lot of legal trouble. I'd be interested to see if you think he's going to jail, or you think he's going to talk his way out of this, or he's going to say a bunch of stuff and they're going to go, I'm sorry, Miss June, thank you for all your help, but we still...
Yeah.
How many lawsuits does he have? This gal who was working for him and who there was some kind of weird sex abuse going on, or and selling pardons. That's not even probably part of this case. So how many cases are there?
Well, I don't think he has as many as Trump, but I think you're right. I think he's got quite a few. I don't know if anybody's keeping a spreadsheet on it yet, but it's a lot. So shall I look at the chart real quick?
Well, he's got a lot to answer for with Jack Smith on that particular thing, as well as, well, no, we'll stick with that one, because he is the one that signed all the lawsuits that Trump wanted to sue all the counties and states and wherever to tell them to turn the votes around. And Rudy went right along with this. So he's got a lot to answer for, and he is in big trouble. But I think he is going to just sing like a bird and tell them anything and everything they want to hear in order to reduce his sentence. Because yes, he will be, there's just no way in hell that he can get out of this without, well, they're talking about right now about taking his license. Then that might be part of the thing that they will use. But I mean, to do that in 30 or 40 different lawsuits and knowing that this was not true, he is in big trouble.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm gonna grab the screen and show everybody the charts.
Yay.
So here we go. We're going over to screen 1. And this is Rudy's chart with with, did I do transits? Yeah, with the transits for right now. And I'm sorry if this is small for people, but it's got everything on it that I need to talk about. So, see, Rudy has a real similar thing to Trump in his chart. They're both Geminis. Rudy's about 2 years older than Trump. And they both have this, which is a little bit unusual. The sun actually conjunct Uranus, which makes you brilliant or completely cuckoo. And as we can see, for both of these gentlemen, they both went completely cuckoo. One famous person that had this sun conjunct Uranus was good King George, from whom we took the United States. He was the King of England, and we said, "You're cuckoo. We're not letting you have this land anymore." So it's the crazy maker thing. And like I said, it can also be indicative of somebody who's really brilliant, who's inspired and brilliant, and gets all their inspiration from on high. But he has that similar to Trump. And this is why they get along, but it's ultimately why they will also part ways, because they will both believe that they're right in their whatever they're doing. And now Rudy has, I believe, no, this is, I have a time for him. So this is true. He has Libra rising, a very early Libra rising, with Neptune on the ascendant, making him a bit of a snake oil salesman. Now, as we know, Mr. T is also a snake oil salesman. So the combo of the two of these guys in the same room, things get very oily very quickly, because you can't really believe what either one of them say. So Trump loves to surround himself with people who have air signs like him. Like a lot of the people in his orbit have some kind of an air sign rising, like a Gemini or a Libra, probably a few Aquarians, but Aquarians are going to be too opinionated and sure of themselves. Geminis and Libras can, well, Gemini is a mutable sign, so you can convince them of other things, but Libra is a sign that wants to be wanted and needed. So that's a good thing for somebody like Trump, because then he makes them feel needed and they feed into his narcissism. And also, he just enjoys the conversation. And because he's a little bit ADHD, he likes that they just bounce around from topic to topic to topic. And Rudy is also that way. So if you're in a room with them and hearing their conversation, probably the only two people who can follow the conversation is the two of them. You probably couldn't follow what they were saying at all, because they're just going all over the place. Now, Rudy has Saturn. Where's Saturn here? Has Saturn down here. This is the green things around the outside are the transiting planets, the right now planets, what's happening right now. And this Saturn is in Pisces, also a mutable sign, and it's squaring Rudy and Trump's sun. So neither one of them are really doing particularly well right now. But Rudy has that square to his sun, which has Uranus connected to it. So this makes him doubt himself. It also means restriction. So going along with the idea that perhaps Rudy did flip and is turning state's evidence against Trump, I would say that that's an indication in favor of that, because Rudy has done a lot of things wrong. He has gone off the rails and just become sort of a mockery of what he used to be. But that gives them something to hold over his head and to kind of force him to turn state's evidence. What else here? Oh, also Saturn is making a very uncomfortable aspect to his Mars. That's his actions, his movements, and his Mars is very close to Pluto. So Rudy in and of himself is a very powerful person. This is why he was a very powerful prosecutor, was this combo of Mars with Pluto, which is the underworld and big movements and power and mafia, what do they call it? Crime syndicates and stuff like that. That means he understood that very, very well. But he is really having a hard time with the Saturn square sun, which is why he most likely is drinking a lot right now. Now, if you're interested, I also did a little thing comparing Rudy and Trump together, We could talk about some other things and come back to that, or we could talk about that now.
Go ahead.
Okay. So here is the chart of Rudy and Trump together. And I did it sort of like you would do a couple. So Trump is on the inside and Rudy's in red on the outside. And so Rudy's Saturn, this is Rudy's Saturn. It's just come across and right on top of Trump's Sun Uranus, the crazy combo here. And so also you notice here with Trump, he has his North Node here. That's his destiny. So Rudy's Saturn, which is restriction, structure, time, maturity, things coming to to fester, to season, to bake, to cook, right? So all of that from Rudy is sitting on top of Trump's Sun Uranus node combo, which just really squelches his destiny, his expression, and his inspiration. So then we have Rudy's Pluto Mars, which is on top of, where's his Pluto Mars here? Somewhere up here. Yeah, Pluto Mars is on top of Trump's Pluto. Now, Trump is part of the Pluto Leo generation, which is our generation. And Rudy, though, has Mars right next to Pluto. So that gives him so much more power with his Pluto. So if he did turn on Trump, he's definitely bringing him down. And he's doing it probably to help himself, but he'll still do time himself because Rudy has done a number of things wrong.
So can you tell from this chart if Rudy kind of thought that whatever he was doing for Trump, that if it didn't work out, that somehow Trump was going to be able to save him?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think he thought if it didn't work out, he would just turn the tables on Trump. This is a former prosecutor. He was a very successful prosecutor. So let me go back to my notes here. So this is in the 12th house for Trump. That's the house for secret enemies. So Rudy is the secret enemy in this scenario to Trump. Trump always has not understood power. His power is Pluto. It's in the 12th house. That's where we either forget things or deny things, or we don't understand things. It's in the subconscious. So Trump, for all of his bluster, has never understood what true power is. He also does not really believe in himself. He's also had a severe lack of self-esteem because he also has, where's the planetary things? He has some things in his chart with Saturn that also make him doubt himself. So, Trump has spent his life trying to fill the hole in his heart from daddy not loving him enough or mommy. And now Rudy comes along. He's fun. He's talkative. He's another Gemini. He wants to do all of this criming with him. So he just thinks that he's playing in a sandbox with friends. But Rudy is a kind of a cold-hearted killer about this, because he's a prosecutor. So
now are we back to the thinking that he might have been that he knew that things might go south, and so he could turn the tables, save himself by turning state's evidence?
Yeah, and so the strength of these planets for Rudy are the weakness for Trump. So these planets are in Rudy's 11th house, which is a house for groups, networking. He was an attorney. He was a member of the bar. He was a prosecutor. So he was a member of all those organizations. So it's not like people have forgotten what he was. He has fallen from grace, but it really means that Rudy's planets are quite strong here. And as far as defining the relationship, it means that Rudy could very well be the spy in the camp and Trump's secret enemy. Also, wow. Rudy's Jupiter and Moon are sitting on top of Trump's Mars, which means that Rudy can be very friendly. He can expand things for Trump. He can understand him. He can nurture things. But if they're not friendly, Rudy can also bring Trump into legal maneuvers, which is Jupiter. So he can strap him up with that. So
I also got that, yes, he has been talking. He sold out. But the problem that I'm having is when I ask, is he going to prison for anything, maybe say in the next 5 years, I'm not getting a yes, but I'm getting some kind of home confinement or something.
And see, maybe he traded for immunity, because I think that they would have definitely held over his head all the crimes that he actually committed. And then when he said, well, I'll give you all the information, all of that in exchange for immunity, they probably said, well, let's hear what you have. That's what they do. He said what he had, thinking, oh, I'm going to get out of this totally, but he's not going to get out of it totally. Home confinement? Yeah, maybe. Does Rudy have a
Something
home?
like that. I don't really
Yeah.
feel like it's home confinement, but I feel like there is something, but I don't see like a long prison stretch. I feel like he's.
And I think that makes sense, because I think what Rudy is, what Marina was saying on Friday, is that this would be a great comeback story for Rudy. You know, he could try to regain
right
a
now what
little
they're
bit of it.
saying is that he's definitely, they're looking at his license. They want to take his lawyer
Well,
license.
he's already lost his license in one venue. I believe he lost his New York license, and now they're looking at his license for Washington and any other states that he has, but definitely Washington. So the one last thing about Trump was born on an eclipse, and people who are born on eclipses are very often very, very powerful people. Kings and queens are born on eclipses. Very high leaders of long-standing countries are usually born on an eclipse. Queen Elizabeth was born on an eclipse. Charles was born on a partial eclipse. William is born on an eclipse. His wife Kate is born on an eclipse.
Wow.
And Donald Trump was born on an eclipse. But this eclipse is negatively aspected in Trump's chart. And so although he has had a spectacular rise, he will also have a likewise spectacular fall. Very public fall.
And he doesn't have, he doesn't have control of Rudy the way he does some of these other players involved. But he had enough control to get Rudy to do all these fake lawsuits. I mean, that's really a terrible thing to do, especially for somebody that's been a U.S. attorney. It's been accomplished, apparently a really good attorney. But he does know all the tricks and everything. So, I'm just wondering how much Trump can. I don't think Trump can depend on. I think Rudy is a wild card, and he can go either way. And he's definitely, he's definitely singing whatever they want to hear about.
Yeah.
Trump.
And that Saturn, that transiting Saturn right now, is squaring both of their charts on this Sun Uranus crazy aspect. And so for both of them, they're getting paranoid. They're getting they're making bad decisions, and with this Sun Uranus. Sun is your ego, your legacy, your chi, your life force, but also what you want to be known for and what you probably will be known for. Uranus is erratic, it's chaos, it's unconventional, it's breaking the rules, it's independence. And so what this means is that both gentlemen are making terrible decisions and exhibiting a lack of impulse control. They just can't control themselves. They just feel like they're just hurling through the universe. So
over here on the chat line, Mary, somebody did say that Rudy did lose his license in Washington D.C.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, so is it New York? Maybe he's up to lose.
I don't know. Sibyl, did you have something on your mind there?
No, I'm just
Okay.
I just see the drugs and the alcohol.
For Rudy, okay.
Yeah. And I feel like he also helped Trump with his worst impulses.
Yes. Yeah, because when they're together, there's a synastry, really, a complementary energy going around with both of them, where they won't stop each other when they're having fun, and for them, this is fun. These cards are
it's
fun.
like a snake pit. They all turn on each other, and that's like that old thing. Everything 45 touches dies. But this guy, somehow is wiggling out from the snake pit and might, unless you turn. So that may be changing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Great.
I got some good stuff on 45. I want
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay.
Well, I said a couple weeks ago, my guide showed me him in a hospital gown, because I keep seeing that he may or may not make it to the Republican nomination, but he won't make it to president. Definitely not.
Definitely not. No.
But how he doesn't get there seems kind of foggy to me. It's either not decided, or for some reason I'm not seeing it. So to me, it's like, I believe there's free will and we're creating things as we go. So we can read it. And even the best psychics only 95% right. And everybody can, because things can change. But I see this path, and then there's these different branches of like, where could you go? What are the choices? And what looks like the most obvious choice? And I saw one of the choices being that 45 ends up in a hospital. And I saw him getting some kind of drug, and I got like, what is that, truth serum or something is not supposed to have? Oh, and isn't that unfortunate? Now he's ill and not, can't go ahead with what he wanted to do or whatever. And I don't know if somebody did that to him. Now, for entertainment purposes only, I don't think that somebody's going to try to wipe him out, but I do know that some of the big money is not behind him. They don't want him out there. He's bringing, a lot too much negative of attention. He's losing elections for them. There's too many troubles, and he's like a wild card. He's crazy and he's losing his mind. So they don't really want him in there. It's just that these people, like he's got them, in a cult, they're hypnotized. They won't let go of him no matter what. So I thought this is like somebody's thinking, like a plan that could happen. Will that happen? I mean, that sounds like a 007 movie or something. I'm like, there's somebody sneaking in the hospital and giving him something, or something happens, and he thrives on stress. So, I mean, it is, everybody has an end date, and we don't wish that on anybody. I just want to be clear. And it could be metaphorically. And then last week, these can be different ways where the energy looks like it's going, and then it looks like it's more going that way. But then a couple of days ago, I saw him wheeled into a courthouse in a wheelchair. And I'm like, and he had a hospital gown on. And I felt like his brain wasn't there. I did this video, and somebody said, this nurse said that he stands like a person with dementia, like there's something, like the way he stands, and then he goes like that. And so he keeps doing that. And then I'm like, what's that about? The sniffing. But okay. So they said this was a nurse, and the nurse said, well, he stands like somebody who has dementia, and that movement, like, okay. So, and when you listen to him talk, it's like his words don't flow or connect. It's weird. So I saw him wheeled in, and I didn't think it was a regular courthouse. I thought it was like maybe in a hospital or something, because he's who goes to maybe it's just a metaphor. Who goes to a courthouse in a hospital gown? But so it could be in a hospital where they have a room where there's a Zoom camera set up for him, because he's still in court. And I felt like his brain was just gone, but he's clutching on to a security blanket, like a security to this briefcase of documents. And I don't really feel like they were real documents. He just wanted something to make him think about, the glory days when he was president and he had the documents, and he was holding on to this briefcase, and he was saying, he was thinking this, the energy, he wasn't really saying it, but he was thinking, they're mine. They're my documents. I have the documents. He's still got the documents. I was like, what? And then they ask him a question, and he's just like, his brain is gone. And he goes, I don't know.
Wow.
And there were guys around him in suits. He still had the Secret Service. They were all around him and all, but he was in a hospital gown.
Wow.
Did you get any feeling on this, Sibyl, as a timeline? Are we talking a year?
I don't know. That's what I don't know. But yeah,
because we in other shows we have talked about Donald Trump and dementia, and
okay.
He really fits that.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
What I get from my guides is symbology. I have symbols for things, and that's the universal language of symbology. So it doesn't actually tell the actual so much, he's going to court, he's going to be convicted of this or that, but the energy of it. And the energy of it is he's on a big horse, and a horse is power. He looks like he wants to be like Napoleon or something. He wants to rise back to power and destroy all his enemies. And he calls off the mountain. He's on this horse and he's all dressed up like this. This is how he sees himself. He thinks he's going to win. And he calls off out of the mountain or this Colosseum, this tiger. And the tiger is has a metal face on it. There's something like it that's not a real tiger, but tigers are anger. And it's going to, you got a tiger coming at you. You better, you're about to get destroyed. So he's calling out this weird fake tiger. He's going to get everybody back for everything they did and be in his power and his glory. And he's heading up the hill. And who comes there? Jack Smith. Ooh. And Jack Smith has a whip. He's got this whip and he's cracking the whip. And Trump is like, well, you can't touch me. And he's headed up the hill. And the horse falls over. He falls down. He's going up the hill. Like right now, he's going up in the polls or whatever. He thinks he's going to win, whatever. But the horse falls. So I feel like this is Jack Smith will bring him down with this, Yeah,
I think the horse falling reminds me of like having the rug pulled out from under him. So if he's already in a mentally fragile state, and then Jack Smith comes in and just clobbers him, that I can see all of that happening. And then this thing about dementia and being in a hospital or a hospital gown or any of that is all stuff, Sibyl, that has come up with other people that they're saying the same thing. I didn't actually get that. My sister Colleen, she did, and she sees him in slippers, hospital slippers that had the presidential seal on it, so that he thinks he's still involved with the presidential thing, but really he's just so far gone that no, they're patronizing him. They're dressing up his surroundings to make it appear like he's still president or he's going to be president. And it's just, the stuff you're talking about is crazy. Stuff Colleen's talking about, crazy, but everybody's coming to the same conclusion. Nobody knows the timing on this, and if he is going into dementia, he's probably had it at least since the beginnings of it, since 2016. Dementia symptoms can go on easily for 10 years. So, it's hard to say, but we definitely have to keep him out of not being president, because otherwise that would happen while he is president, and it would just be horrible. But it does sound like he's headed in that direction.
Well, you know what preceded my little vision of him being locked up with, the TVs running his rallies on loop, and all the windows covered up with posters of the outdoors with crowds, on the mall for his what do you call it when he gets sworn in as president, that stuff. So, but before that, see, I lived in New York through all of Trump's heyday. So when I heard he was running for president for like the 18th time, I just thought, oh, here we go again. And then the closer he got, the more frightened I got, because I knew he was a maniac. he was a horrible person, maniac. And what I thought then is, he used to be big in the Studio 54 crowd, going in there and doing whatever, and just a real kind of a hedonistic lifestyle, in New York. And I thought when he got closer and closer to the presidency, that I could see that he was exhibiting the early symptoms of dementia. And I also thought that maybe that had been brought on by a severe venereal disease.
Oh, I've heard that.
You have?
You're not the first one who said that.
Oh, really? Because
Uh-huh.
I figured if you had like syphilis or something, that that can that eats your brain. And
Oh,
that I mean, without all the gray matter up there, yeah, you don't think very well. So that was the first inkling that I had, psychically, that I didn't have to worry so much, because that was going to kind of take care of him. Never thinking that he'd make it through a whole presidency and then another 3 years afterwards. But yeah, I do think, God, it's getting so scary now with his weird ads and everything. But I believe too that he's gonna like blow a gasket. Either he's gonna stroke out, or he's gonna have a psychotic break, where he just starts spouting off, deep state secrets, on a podium, and like the Secret Service and the FBI are just like, grab that man. They're just gonna like take him, because they can't allow him to be out in public anymore. And so something like that could happen before the Republican convention, and maybe he never makes it to be the Republican candidate. I don't know.
Well, he's going to be under an awful lot of pressure, especially coming up in August with Fani Willis doing her indictments, and also bringing that thing in about the RICO, the RICO Act, and that, in order to bring all these other people in. So the amount of pressure between that and also the Washington, D.C. thing, the insurrection, all of that stuff is starting to come down to where we're actually going to see the results of all these grand juries and the indictments coming down. And, it's just piling up. Maybe the pressure of all that, if he's already in that state, he'd have to be already in that state of dementia.
I mean, he's not that stable on a good day, and then you throw in there his terrible lifestyle habits, the bad eating. Yeah, sure, he doesn't drink, but God knows what else he does do. It's just not, it just isn't conducive to good brain health. And, his lifestyle is very hedonistic. He doesn't practice any kind of self-care with his brain. But anyway, I had a list of all of his trial dates, but I think by now everybody knows he's got like 18 trial dates between now and the Republican convention. So,
Yeah, it's going to
anyway.
anybody would have a hard time getting through that kind of pressure, let alone somebody that might be a little defective at this point. So what do you think about Fani Willis? I mean, the changes she's made just in the last week, and the stuff that's coming up in August. They're saying that with the next first 2 weeks of August that she will be handing down the indictments and getting prepared to take Trump to court. And Trump, had said that, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, he said, well, they're just going to drop everything up there in Georgia. They don't have a case. They're just going to drop everything. And I'm like, on what planet are you on? No, nobody's dropping anything.
No, nobody's dropping anything. I do have a chart about it, but Sibyl, do you have anything on her? Or do you need a minute?
Well, I'm just, as I tune into her, I'm seeing, all this stuff happened in the dark and secret, and she's the Queen of Swords, bringing law and order. It's a very powerful woman. I see her walking, it looks like a church. I don't know if she's a church goer, but I feel like she's in like a kind of a healing long robe, and she's walking in like towards something. She's very powerful. And then I'm hearing music about is it Christmas? And then, I wonder if she came, and it looks like she might have come from a more humble background.
Mhm.
Because I'm hearing that drummer boy song from Christmas. So I know her indictment is supposed to come out. She said sometime end of July, middle of August.
Yeah.
For court judges to clear their calendars and have security. But I'm hearing music around Christmas.
Well, that might be the time of the trial.
Okay, so I'm hearing Christmas music.
Mm-hmm. Well, wouldn't that be a kicker for Trump? He gets the Mar-a-Lago case postponed from December time into a couple of months later, but then he gets the Fani Willis case in December.
Yeah.
I think that's poetic justice.
She's so powerful, and she's making a name for herself and for justice. But I feel like she lives, this is part of her purpose. She lives for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like it feels a little bit lonely, like you have to look over your shoulder, but she's not afraid. It's like, what prosecutor is going to run and hide when crooks are committing crimes, But she's very powerful.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think that she has a little bit of communications with Jack Smith. That's she does have a little support there, but yeah, what she's doing, she is just totally loyal to her job, her work, and to justice. And so, she's not going to let anything like this go. She's going to pursue it the best she can. Doing the RICO Act is a little bit tricky because she's got to prove a couple of different things to make it fit into that. If she can do that, though, it's perfect because it just draws all these other people in. It's basically like trying to go to a court on a conspiracy, and that's really tough to do. But this way, she brings in all the other lawyers, all the other Republicans that supported Trump to lie about the 2020 election and say that, that he was robbed and that it was illegal and it was all these different things. And she is going to pursue that. Well, she already is. She's already totally pursuing that. I got a feeling she's going to do a wonderful job. I feel like she's right up there with Jack Smith. He's doing a wonderful job and will continue to do that. So it's feeling really good. I love it that you got something about Christmas because that would fit. If this comes up in the first 2 weeks of August, it could very well go into court in December.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I am going to share my screen and show you the chart and talk about that for a little bit. I know, everybody, please don't groan.
And she is going to get all those other Republicans. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Let's see it.
Oh, finish your thought.
Now she's bringing it. She's taking down what people are going to get upset. Think they're upset about Trump when she starts indicting Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's going to do it.
Yeah.
Thing is, she has built her reputation on RICO cases.
Okay.
She is probably one of the most experienced prosecutors in RICO cases.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
Oh God, that's great.
Yeah, she was made for this. She'll be in the history books.
She has probably prosecuted more RICO cases than any other prosecutor, at least on the East Coast.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And
Wow.
the other sweet justice about this is one of the people that she's prosecuting is another person who prosecuted a lot of RICO cases, and that was Rudy Giuliani in New York.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Karma comes back.
yeah, she is like the warrior priestess healer walking down the aisle, taking it all in and saying, my country needs healing.
Yeah.
She's it. So let me take a drink of water here. So I don't have a birth time for her, but we can see that her moon and her Mars are both in Aquarius, which are air signs, which means that she understands air signs very well, but also that she is dispassionate when it comes to dispensing her kind of justice. She's not overly emotional. She's not sentimental. She's like, these are the facts. This is the law. You broke the law. This is a fact. You're going to jail. She doesn't mess around with all this other stuff. And I'm guessing that as I looked at her chart, I'm guessing that actually she probably has Gemini rising, which on this chart is showing down here. This is just a chart done for, noon, just a generic chart without any real houses in here. But I'm guessing that she has Gemini rising, partially because of her physical appearance, because this would put Saturn in the first house on her rising sign, which very often Saturn will make somebody short because it constricts things. So very often people who are short may have Saturn in the first house. And also this asteroid called Pallas Athena, which Athena, yes, is wisdom, but also Pallas Athena asteroid gives somebody a real talent for looking at patterns and geometric shapes and patterns and linking things. And when you're
Wow.
prosecuting a very large case, she's like got this whole thing in her brain. She doesn't need the board with the threads and the tick and the push pins and the pictures. She's got that all in her head. Everybody else needs it to keep up with her, but she's with Pallas Athena there conjunct with Saturn, she's got this down to a science. She looks at, XYZ and she goes, oh, and she extrapolates ABCD down to another set of the alphabet. I mean, she's just got this stuff going in her brain very, very well. Also, the Gemini rising puts this moon and Mars in her 10th house for the public. And the moon, when people have the moon in the 10th house, they're usually very well accepted by the public and they usually gravitate towards public positions. But Mars in there would give her a sense of controversy, which there has been. They've had all these cases about her trying to take her off of this case, trying to ruin her, which just, I'm sure she's sitting back and going, well, that must mean I'm doing a great job if you're also afraid of me doing this. So sorry. So let's see. She's a very aggressive prosecutor, and that she would need that. Mars in the 10th house would give her that. And she is famous for prosecuting more RICO cases probably than anybody in the country. Let's see. I talked about Saturn and her rising sign. And okay, her Venus is conjunct Mercury. This is a very helpful aspect for anybody who has to speak in court, on television, for a living, doing, stand-up speeches, whatever. And so if you notice when she's on television, she doesn't worry about keeping a stream of conversation going. She chooses her words, and she's not afraid to leave a little space in between her words while she thinks of the right thing to say. Her Mercury and Venus are both in Scorpio. So she's gaming this out as she's speaking in public. And I'm sure she's very effective in the courtroom too. And when you couple that with this Saturn and Pallas Athena, she is a mastermind at this. This is why she has been so successful, because she can speak well, she can think on her feet, she can see all those patterns, and she's very, very disciplined about, Saturn is disciplined, very disciplined about putting all of these things into play. Now, this Gemini rising, then this allows her to have Neptune and Jupiter in the 7th house, which would mean, yeah, she probably does have a nice home life. And I think actually she might be divorced from her husband, but I know she has 2 daughters. And she keeps that very private. And with Jupiter and Neptune there, Neptune, little privacy there, a little hidden, little shrouded in secrecy. And also, it turns out the more visible she becomes, the safer it is for her family to be shrouded in secrecy. She doesn't want anybody going after her family. And she knows very well that she could be a target herself. So she has to be careful about things like that. And, her sun is in Scorpio, so she would cherish her privacy no matter what. But being a person in the public eye, she also really has to think about that. So that's what I have for Fani Willis. I mean, she's just entirely capable. I don't think anybody has to worry about whether she's going to succeed in this case or not. She definitely is. This is her bread and butter. She's trained for this for years by doing all those other RICO cases. So she's the right person for the job, definitely.
Well, and it's just perfect that she's doing it that way. And I'm so glad to hear that she's so experienced in this, because there is a couple of things that you have to prove legally to make this kind of case successful. And I think you're telling me that she's got all the skills, talent, and knowledge in order to do that. So yeah, she's gonna
She's gonna kick ass.
it's gonna be a totally different thing up in Georgia than it is down there in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Or as it is in Washington D.C. I mean, Washington D.C. and Georgia, they're gonna. I'm pretty sure that they are in communication with each other from time to time.
Yeah, they have to do a little coordination. So
Yeah.
good stuff. Really good stuff. So yeah. So that's what I had on Fani Willis. So it's been an hour. Sybil, how are you doing? Are you
45 minutes.
Oh, it's only been on the new
You were
live.
off and then we came back on, so maybe that's
Okay.
what,
Yeah, okay.
I'm okay. How long do you want to go?
I just wanted to make sure that I got to talk about Walt Nauta before we.
Oh, okay.
So do you guys have any ideas about Walt Nauta before I launch into his chart?
I do not.
I do.
Go ahead.
Good.
Go ahead.
When I read on Walt Nauta, I feel like he's young. Well, obviously he's young. I feel like he's kind of just overwhelmed or excited, like being with the president and having that job in the White House, coming from his background of service. He's just enthralled with that. And he really does believe in 45 that he can win again and that he's a good person. Some of the stuff he kind of thinks like, that's weird, but then he tries to brush it off. But he's scared, and I see crying in his future. I see sadness. I feel like at some point he starts to talk, but it's a little late. And unfortunately, this is another person. I could be wrong. I want to know what you're looking at. But I'm seeing that, and that's the last time I looked at it. I mean, is he going to be convicted? Is he going to do time?
Good question.
It's going to be hard. Is he going to talk? Has he already talked? I think he's looking at, he's being his lawyer. 45 is paying for his lawyer.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
It's
I just feel like a lot of sadness. I feel like he's being used. And is he going to do time? I feel like he could. I mean, not good. Well, I want to know what you see with him.
okay.
Well,
So
as you're talking about this, I see him as, he's a scapegoat. He's kind of a nobody. And when they said, "Hey, listen, how are we going to move the boxes?" Oh, we'll just have this guy do it. And so he gets in trouble for that. And I totally agree. Yeah, I totally
covering up. He knows he's covering up.
Yeah, he does. But he thought that he could get away with that. He had no idea.
Some greater good or something. He's going to get a job again in the White House or something.
That's exactly where that thought was going with him. Yeah, but he doesn't well, I think he's beginning to realize that he got sucked into this, and that he's thinking about it.
He's worried.
Yeah, definitely.
I see a lot of sadness with him. I feel like he probably starts to flip, but I just don't know if it's in time. And I
don't know if he has enough information to flip. I feel like he's getting an ulcer.
But he lied,
and he's just, he's just totally anxious because he knows that he lied, but then again, he kind of tells himself, well, no, it was kind of the truth. He just. Like I said, he's a nobody, and it'd be so easy for all these other big shots just to let him take the fall, let him worry. Yeah. They're not going to worry about him. He's just he's not a big player. He doesn't make or break anything in this case. But yeah, he's in big trouble. I think he's got an ulcer. I think he's just extremely anxious and worried about what's going on, and that Trump could care less.
Yep. He'll throw him right under the bus with everybody else.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let me show you what I have here.
Okay.
So here we go. All right. So Waltine Nauta. It took a while to find the information on him because we don't have a birth time. And at first, I couldn't even find a birth date. So apparently, somebody is trying to, kind of scrub his persona out on the internet. But I saw a bunch of listings. Let's see. Let's see. Some of the bios list 1981, just 1981, or 1982. They say both years, which is crazy. A lot of the websites list him as a Gemini. That's not right. He's not a Gemini. And then I found a listing. I found a few listings really landing on 1982 because as I dug deeper, I got the older listings. And then I finally found a birth date of February 12th, which makes him an Aquarius.
Oh, okay.
And that makes sense because Trump likes the air sign men. He likes to have men around him who are air signs. So I'm also guessing that he may have Libra rising because that puts this whole mess of planets in his first house. And that would explain kind of all the weird, he's just had a weird life. He's just had an unusual life. So I'm going with that. And that also pushes his moon into the first house, which can sometimes make people impressionable, easily manipulated. And so can Libra rising can make people really easily manipulated, or it can make them very manipulative themselves. Now,
Oh.
he could be a little of both because he's also got Pluto and Saturn and Mars here all in his first house. So big, powerful clump of planets or stellium in his first house. But you notice all of his planets are just kind of in this small little area too. That's
Yeah.
another thing I noticed with people around Trump is a lot of them have these planets really scrunched up all together. And these are people that have just really kind of a narrow world view.
Oh.
Their interests are narrow, their needs are narrow, they don't need a lot. And they just Trump kind of likes that. It's like he used to say, he likes the uneducated people. Yeah, well, they don't have a big worldview, so they don't have anything to compare you to. But so I'm guessing then that this means he was probably born around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. That gives him the Libra rising. If I'm right, I'm just guessing here, but it places all those planets in the first house. And he was born in Guam in 1982. I'm going to just read this thing from his bio because at the end, wait till you hear what I have to say about him at the end. So he enrolled in the Navy and in the American Navy in 2001. Guam is a U.S. territory, so he was always American. He worked as a cook in the Navy. In 2012, he started working for the White House Military Office's Presidential Food Service. So he was working in the White House when Obama and Joe Biden were there. Nauta became Donald Trump's personal valet during his time in office, functioning as his body man and butler. He accompanied Trump to Mar-a-Lago after he left office in January 2021. He also joined Trump at his club in Bedminster, New Jersey. He routinely accompanied Trump on his campaign trips and public engagements. Here's the important stuff. His time in the Navy came to an end later that year, and he started working for the Save America PAC in August of 2021. Additionally, Trump's 2024 campaign for president compensated him. So, okay, one of the reasons that they gave in the hearing, in the arraignment for Walt and Trump to be able to still talk to each other was so that Walt could continue to be employed. But he's actually employed by the presidential campaign. Interesting. Walt Nauta's net worth is listed at anywhere from $6.7 to $55 million. What? This guy isn't even like a lieutenant in the Navy. He's just a normal private, whatever they call them. How did he amass that kind of wealth on a naval salary? I mean, maybe Trump gives great Christmas bonuses or something, but how did he, and look how, what a big spread. Some people say 6.7, some people say 55 million. So where the hell is that coming from?
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That is totally wild.
So we're all feeling sorry for poor old Walt Nauta, who's getting all rolled over by Trump. But in the meantime, he's a gazillionaire.
It might be some foreign money.
It's cuckoo. I mean, that was another reason that I thought Libra rising was a good fit for him, because that puts Jupiter in his second house, which is one of the indicators of being a millionaire. But why? Why?
Oh, he's doing something wrong. He's doing something.
Yeah, I don't think he's as innocent as we all think.
Oh, that's a totally different light.
I feel like he was maybe a long time ago. I totally get the manipulating, but I see crying with him. I feel like it's not going to end happy.
No, it's not going to end happy. And another thing that bolsters the Libra rising is that it puts his midheaven in the sign of Cancer, which is a sign that rules food, and he was a cook.
I think he did something criminal to get that money. I feel like it's dirty.
And maybe that's how he connected with Trump. I don't know.
Well, and this could turn around and bite him in the ass. All his history, now that he's going to court too, they're going to be looking into his past dealings.
Well, if it's on the internet, it ain't fine. It's not that hard to find. But what we hear on the news is something quite different, isn't it? That just blew my mind when I read that. I was like,
there might be another case here, or he's involved with something else. And that's why I feel like Trump's paying for his attorney, but it's kind of like the manipulating or blackmail thing. Mm-hmm. There's another, besides this, there's something else about all that money, and it's not legal.
Oh yeah, there's a secret life of Walt Nauta. I mean, this is what he's showing to the public is, and I'm not sure that it's so nefarious on his part. He's just trying to make it through. You know, maybe he needs this money for his family. I don't know.
What?
But I think it's just wild that even if it was only $6.7 million, I thought that was a lot. And then I checked out a few other websites and I was like, wait, these are going all the way up to 55 million?
I think that might be a little exaggerated. I'm going to go with the 6 or 7, 10.
Well, yeah, because Trump exaggerates everything, and apparently he's taken lessons from Trump.
I think it's more like the 6 or 7. He might
Trump,
have been dealing with that amounts of money and putting it places for people. He's doing something.
Yeah. It's just dirty money.
Probably put it somewhere. If that was there, it isn't there now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
Just blows my mind. So
yeah, crazy.
He has all that money, but he's working for the Save America PAC and Trump, and
so he can get a pardon when Trump becomes president again.
Yeah, there you go. He could get a pardon. Yes, exactly. And just cuckoo.
Is he holding money for somebody else?
It didn't say. These are just little bios.
Well, of course they're not going to say that. I'm saying, is that a possibility? I think it is. This money sounds very dirty. It's dirty money. It's
quite possibly.
It reminds me of
people involved.
It reminds me of Paul Manafort with all the, wearing those outlandish clothes and everything.
Is there going to be like a movie series with all the offshoots of like of all these crimes and the webs of just like, oh my God, where does it end with the selling the pardons, whatever he did?
It's like
we haven't even gotten to Ivanka getting illegal money. They're still looking for Hunter Biden's dick pics on, a laptop, which no one can find now. And he pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor. And they're still, he got money. I'm like, look at all the money you all got. And you were in the cabinet He's a private citizen.
I know.
And there's no link to Joe Biden.
I know. They're
So
so
I'm like,
ridiculous.
it's
They're so
just,
ridiculous.
it's just.
It's fodder for movie making. I mean, I just hope I'm alive to see the movie.
Me
I hope it
too.
doesn't take
Can
too
we
much
look at,
longer.
do we have time to look at
Lindsey,
Lindsey?
or who are you going
Who
to
do
say?
we have time to look at? How much
Well,
time do we
We can look at Lindsey.
have? Okay, I got something on him.
Okay, let's hear it.
Please donate money. No, just kidding. Please send me some for no, sorry. That's not funny to make. That's not nice to make fun of somebody when they're in pain. He isn't, he
He
wasn't.
is in pain. He
So-
really is.
The Trump crowd doesn't even like him. They booed him off the stage after the insurrection. He was like, "Count me out. I'm done with this." And then he's back there kissing the ring and like, oh my God. His face looked all red, like probably having a few too many drinks. And so I kind of feel he's so, but there's John McCain. Shame, John McCain, because John McCain was a hero and he stood up for our country.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lindsey, I see him walking into Congress, walking into his job. Was he a senator or a congressman?
He's a senator.
Okay, walking into the Senate with a briefcase, and it pops open. He's got some papers in there, and there's a booby trap. He says, "It's a booby trap. I've been booby trapped." Okay, and then he bends over to pick it up, and his spatoot is showing. I'm like, "You bent over to pick it up. I've been tricked." And it's a booby trap. And then his whole, Christmas show is hanging out. Birthday with suit. What do you call it? He's hanging out when he bends over. I'm like, whoops, he do it like the plumber pants. But
Yeah. Oh, boy.
sorry for the visual. You can't make this stuff up. I'm like, my guides are funny. Okay, so I feel like so then he puts this hat like it's a witch hunt. He puts a witch's hat on. It's a witch hunt. And then he starts spinning in a circle. He's going to spin it. Yay, I'm in for the spin. Let's spin this. Because he doesn't want to lose the voter. So he's spinning around. Please donate. Oh my God.
Poor Lindsey. Yeah.
How does these people get in office?
What
is wrong with
he's
us?
been in office for over 20 years.
Yeah, he didn't
What
used to do
happened?
that.
No, just
He
kidding.
drank too much.
He drank the Kool-Aid, that's for sure. And then he didn't drink it, and then he tried to go back. And even 45 was saying, "Oh, come on, give him a break." And the audience is all, get him off.
I know. I saw that. That was so pathetic.
It's just, the whole thing is pathetic. But as far as him, now he's probably going to be indicted by Fani.
Yep.
He's involved in that. Is he going to be indicted? Well, he's been testifying. Oh, did he talk? Okay, so what's the question? Is he going to be indicted? Quite possibly. Not a strong yes, but yeah. And then is he going to do time?
Oh.
No, I don't know. Will he lose his seat? I feel like he loses his seat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the sun's gonna come out. It's gonna be shown. All this stuff is gonna come out. And look, those are two major arcanas.
Yeah.
The light is coming for you.
Yep.
And you can't hide. And even his own the MAGA people don't even like him anymore. So
No.
I feel like I don't know about jail, but he's not going to be in the Senate.
Well, his reelection doesn't come up till 2026. So
okay, well, he might leave before then.
Yeah, I think he's going to leave before then.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's going to have some serious health problems due to his drinking.
Oh.
And I think that he's going to feel like he just can't go on. He's just, between a rock and a hard place. And I think he'll use the health problems as a reason. He's going to try and get out of some of the court things with his health issues. I don't know if that'll work or not. It may give him a little reprieve, but once he gets away from the Senate for a little while, I think he may just check himself in at Betty Ford for like 6 months and really try to dry himself out. And I think when he gets out, he's going to be like, I can't be a fucking senator anymore. I can't do this. He's just, I
Yeah.
think he's going to.
Well, he's 68 years old.
Yeah.
So, he's been doing
A
it for a
spring
long
chicken compared to everybody around him.
time, sort of. But yeah, poor Lindsey, he was such an embarrassment at that rally when he was saying stuff, and Trump is going to be the next president, and blah, 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 and he's just looking around. Everybody's like, what? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Who are you? He really embarrassed himself, but he kept, and he kept saying, thank you. And they're like, boo, boo, boo. Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was a pretty bad rally. That was
Yeah,
pretty
that
bad.
was an embarrassment.
Really an embarrassment. That's true.
You know who I really want to look at? Jack Smith. Do we have a few more minutes?
Yeah,
Are
we
gonna
do.
look at, we're going to look at.
Yeah, let me
more-
run through my notes on Lindsey, and I'll bring
Oh,
Jack
okay.
right up, if that's all right.
All right. I know I'm just.
Top off with Lindsey here, with Miss Lindsey. Thank you, Miss Lindsey. Okay, so for Lindsey Graham, first of all, there's just too much water in his chart. And although I don't have a birth time, I think the last time I looked at his chart, I was guessing that he would have Libra rising. Again, because Trump loves air signs, and Lindsey just has that kind of Libra looking face. He just has that nice countenance. And when he was younger, he was considered very, very attractive. But the idea with Libra rising, they want to be needed. They want to be the air that you breathe. They want to find some reason to be in your orbit when they really like you. And he really liked John McCain. He really liked, who was the other guy that he really liked before Trump? Somebody that and that's what he does. So too much water. So I'm going with Libra rising. And since his chart is almost all water, without that air sign rising, just like Rudy Giuliani has Libra rising, Lindsey wouldn't have any chance at all at a conversation with Trump because he's just too emotional. Lindsey is just too emotional. So, Lindsey used to go down and play golf with Trump. Golf games last for hours. There's no way that he could spend all that time with Donald Trump and not have an air sign rising, because I just don't think they could have a conversation. I don't think Trump would put up with it. So that's another reason that I'm saying the Libra rising. So given that I feel that it's Libra rising, this works on many levels. It puts Neptune late in his first house, making him very prone to addiction and drinking. And, we can all see that his emotions are really rampant within him. And that's also, Neptune is a lot of emotion. But this will also exaggerate any kind of a drinking problem. He's also got Uranus on top of his Mars. That's over here. Instead of Sun Uranus, he's got Mars Uranus, which is probably worse for impulse control and for things like drinking. His moon is in Pisces. That's another indication of people who have a problem with substances. It makes him a chameleon. He changes his colors for whoever he's speaking to. This is classic Lindsey. He loves Biden 1 minute, he loves John McCain the next, and finally he loves Trump. And the biggest problem, what I see in his chart for Lindsey, is that early life was just too easy for him. And he just never learned any coping skills because he never had any challenge when he was young. Everything was either done for him or just came very easy for him. And so he's got really bad coping skills. And ever since he was a young person, he's tried to learn coping skills and he hasn't succeeded. It's that water stuff. He just starts feeling sorry for himself and he gives up. So he just attaches himself to the strongest man in the room and hopes for the best, takes a swig out of whatever he has in his flask and says, screw it, I'm just going for it. And he also right now has transiting Saturn. Where is it? Here, down here. Transiting Saturn is going over his natal moon. That's another downer that makes you doubt yourself a lot. It makes you have depression. It makes you just feel bad about yourself. And so right now, I think we just have to say a prayer for him because he's just He's not making it. He's not thriving at all in his environment. And Pluto, which is, been down here at the end of Capricorn again, because it is retrograde and it slipped back into Capricorn. Pluto is opposing all of his Cancer planets up here. And if they are in his 10th house, if he does have Libra rising, then that's why we're seeing just, one awful event after another for him. It's just the ultimate outcome of Pluto opposing all of that stuff. And Pluto's been there for 20 years. So he's been on this downward trajectory for the last 20 years. And that's why we're seeing him just basically slide into oblivion. So the best outcome for him would be to be arrested and to put in a facility to be dried out. But I think he should just resign his seat, go get dried out, and retire to the plantation. That's what I think.
The plantation.
Well, he's from the South, So
Yeah, South Carolina.
Yeah, he should just live out his Grey Gardens dream. He should just. So that's the thing with Lindsey. So what was the other? Jack Smith. We want to talk about Jack Smith. Okay, so let's go. Do I have that one up?
I can say something real quick about him.
Yeah, go ahead.
I saw right away when I look at somebody's picture, I can see their past lives.
Nice.
And I saw him as a warrior, a winner. Right away, he looked very powerful. Now, that was a younger picture of him. Now, in his old age, he has a lot more wisdom. I think he's with that group called the Hague or something, International Justice.
Yep.
And he feels like he has a divine life plan. He feels like an old soul, or I'm wondering where his north node is and what his astrology says, because he feels either from the angelic realm, like the Archangel Michael realm, which are military or secret service or people who are fighting for good on this planet. So he feels connected to that. And this is, his whole life will change and really he put himself on the line, where Merrick Garland is more like a judge. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really have the same energy as this guy. He came in here and he's done this, and it's just amazing to me to watch him and this powerful but wise. And then when you look at his, I do feel like, he's human. I know he has a wife and a family. I'm sure he's concerned about them, but he's doing it anyway. He's really a hero. I feel like he's going to be in the history books,
I agree.
A hero.
So Cleo, do you have anything to say about your fan person?
Yes, he's just amazing. And I agree with Sibyl that he's like very noble and just believes in the justice system, believes in doing the right thing, believes that, Trump was way out of line in so many areas, and that if he can narrow it down to just a few, that he'll be fine with that. And that's what he's been doing. He's got all his ducks in a row when it comes to Donald Trump and all these different indictments that are coming up. And he's just the warrior. I just love the man. And he does have that look about him. I think I said this before. His name's Jack Smith. I keep thinking that he's somebody from the Civil War or something, that the Smith family, they were all warriors and, fighting for the country and working with the 13 colonies and doing all that kind of stuff. Now, it probably doesn't, he probably wasn't part of that, but he just is very grounded and knows exactly what he's doing, very intelligent. And just like the way he's wrapped up this document case down in Florida, he's got it to where Cannon can't hardly move, can't hardly do anything. She had to come up with an earlier trial date of May because, the Trump team wanted them to go beyond the election, and also they didn't have they just want it to be dismissed. Well, I think, that Jack Smith has looked into all of this, and he knows that the Presidential Record Act is not going to be a good enough thing to prevent Donald Trump from being in trouble. it puts Cannon in a position to where she does not want to be the one to say you're guilty, to say that Donald Trump is guilty of anything. But then again, she might be put on a spot. I don't think I do think it's going to be dismissed, but I don't know exactly how they're going to pull this off. She's got a lot of leeway to do whatever she wants as a judge. I mean, she's, that's a pretty powerful position she's in.
Yeah. I also feel, oh, are you on? I also feel like they're like, oh, she got in there, or like the Justice Department was waiting for her to screw up so they can take her down. She will sully her name in all of time and all, of a judge that is, who's, if she's going to go ahead with this, helping this crook take down the country. So I feel like it's almost like a setup. Like, what are you going to do, huh? What are you going to do? And to Cannon. But I also saw this other thing with Jack Smith is that somebody asked me if he was a reincarnation of Abraham Lincoln. And I felt like I'm getting more of a yes than a no. And then somebody said, okay, he's a walk-in. And I'm like, that's it. That's why I was getting more of a yes, but not a complete yes. So apparently Abraham Lincoln was depressed. So this is rare. It doesn't happen very often. I've seen people who this has happened to, or they've agreed to it. On some level, when a soul doesn't want to be here, especially if they have an important purpose, like Abraham Lincoln did. So there's your connection to the Civil War. You feel like he was in the Civil War? Yeah, I believe so. So the soul, when you have a walk, it's called a walk-in. The soul decides that it really doesn't want to be here on some level. And sometimes what will happen, but they don't want to kill themselves, or they have an important purpose. So what will happen is a walk-in will come in and take over. And if you've ever known anybody who you say, like, all of a sudden, like, I feel like I don't know you anymore. You change your job, you change your name, you got a divorce, and your family's saying, like, what happened to you? You seem like a different person. Well, you are. Now, once again, it's very rare, but I've seen that happen. But I feel like Jack Smith might have been the walk-in.
Wow.
For Abraham Lincoln. I don't feel like he was the original soul, but this was a purpose that needed to happen. So this is a soul that's come here with these very important purposes, a more highly advanced soul that's come in before. And that's my read.
I like that. Wow. I like that.
I like that too. That's cool. All right. Okay, so I managed to, I'm sorry I was flipping around with the charts, but I wanted to give Jack Smith a Taurus rising. So I see him in a much more ancient lifetime as a warrior priest, like somebody who has a very righteous life purpose. That's what I get off of him. And that's just how I feel about him. So he has a wonderful little stellium of Jupiter, Uranus, and Pluto. And this would put this in his 6th house for work. If he has, and again, I'm just making wild guesses about their rising signs. I'm probably not right, but it helps me to focus on the chart. So this would give him a lot of power and the ability to do just have like superhuman abilities when it comes to anything that he really puts his attention to in his work, because Uranus gets him connected basically to the angels for inspiration. Jupiter is the courts and justice and making it all right. And Pluto is just the power to power through it and make it all happen. So this is a very, very powerful little stellium that he has, regardless of whatever his rising sign is. This little stellium just makes him amazing. So, all right. So,
what's the North Node?
The North Node is in Pisces. So he probably is in one of his penultimate lifetimes or his penultimate lifetime. So he is wrapping things up gets this North Node in Pisces. So, really interesting. And it's coming into it's in the 12th house. If he has Taurus rising, it would be in his 12th house. And it would just, give him, in this lifetime, he's trying to stay connected to his spirituality, stay connected to his soul's purpose, and to do the right thing, really, to be compassionate and help humanity. So now his little stellium down here is sextile 60 degrees away from Neptune, which gives him the ability to work behind the scenes, very, very long hours, very diligently. But it also gives the connection to foreign lands, which would be The Hague, working in the World Court, the World Criminal Court. So he has that, and that makes The Hague sort of another partner for him. His Mars is opposite his Mercury and his Sun. And so, and his Mars is in Sagittarius. So fighting for the underdog and pursuing wherever the fight leads him, he will go, he will fight, he will prevail. That's just his not mantra, but that's his edict for his life. That's just like, okay, it's this fight. Okay, I'm going, I'm winning. See you later. Like I'll be right back for lunch. He just can do that. And as if that were not enough, he has Venus conjunct Saturn. And if I'm right about the Taurus rising, then this is a perfect combination for him to have on his ascendant, Venus making him very easy on the eyes. And Saturn with Venus is a very powerful combo for people who are lawmakers and law defenders. He can talk when he wants to talk. He can talk very well, but he's going to choose not to talk more times than talk. And that's what we've witnessed with him, because Saturn is going to sit on top of that Venus and just allow him to kind of emanate what he wants people to know. So this Venus conjunct his Saturn also gives him a lot more wins in court than losses. So I'm assuming that he has won most of his court cases. And I'm not sure, again, about the rising sign, but this Taurus rising just really seems to fit. He seems like a very solid person, but not a big bulky person. He is a triathlete, I guess. And so Venus in the first house would give him a more slimmed down but athletic figure. Let's see what else. It also, with Saturn in his first house, it kind of makes him the strong, silent type. And I think we get that from him as well. And that's been my impression of him forever. Now, he is born in June. He is a Gemini, but I don't get the flighty, scattered Gemini energy from him, nor does any of his biographies indicate that kind of personality. But with Venus, Saturn on the ascendant, he's very good looking. But that Gemini sun makes him very curious. He's an avid learner. He never stops learning. That's how he expresses that Gemini energy. And his Gemini sun is also connected to an asteroid called Vesta, which is very much about the home and keeping the hearth safe, keeping things going there. Mercury is also there. So he makes his living talking about keeping people safe. And that's what he does.
Okay, there's a couple people. Oh, you done?
Yep, I'm done.
A couple people in the comments that are saying that I mentioned this before, I guess, or maybe it's their insight. They're seeing him as a priest in the Spanish Inquisition. No, I don't think that. I don't know about that. Or unless he was, but in King Arthur's court.
I could see that.
A lot of times a soul will have a similar purpose.
Yeah.
When they're coming in that they're working on. So he was quite victorious in King Arthur's court. And then somebody here is saying, that was Rose. Thank you, Rose. And then somebody here is saying, Jamie Johnson, I saw Jack as a high priest in the Spanish Inquisition the first time I saw his picture. Interesting.
Well, but for which side? I mean,
yeah, that's what I would want to know, because I don't feel like he would be, unless No, I feel like he's fighting, like he has a justice theme,
Yeah.
a humanitarian and a justice theme, and
Mm-hmm.
not a.
I could see him being a soldier in the Crusades, a religious warrior,
Yeah,
that
well,
kind of feeling.
I was a Knights Templar when they were doing good, and then I told
Yes,
some people
Knights
that, and they go, "Oh, that's horrible," and I'm like, "No, it wasn't. We were."
No.
And I was imprisoned for that. I was helping people, and the church put an end to that. But so,
Yeah.
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 I was just going to say that too about the Knights Templar that he just.
People, you
Yeah.
knew that. Oh, you must be psychic. People are asking some really good questions here. We should do another where we're taking questions, because we got, a lot of good questions here that we didn't get to, because we wanted to bring you all this information. And I know you guys have been,
Yeah.
thank you for doing the charts. That's
Oh,
amazing. I
sure.
know you guys have been looking at this.
And maybe for future, we could just focus on just a couple people, and then we could take more questions about those couple of
There
people.
you go. There you go.
But I went a little crazy because there's so much that's happening. It's like I wanted to know about everybody.
Oh, it's super fun. Yeah, you guys are amazing. Really good reading. Thanks, Cleo. Good. This is
yeah.
good.
Great.
Oh, here's Susan Lynn in the chat.
Oh my God. And I think I mentioned you, girlfriend. Hey, I mentioned you. What was it? Something she said. No, I can't remember what it was. It was an hour ago.
That's okay.
She's the best. She is amazing. Check her out, because she is
very much so.
amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for lurking, Susan Lynn. That's great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So, well, that's pretty much what I got. And we've been on for almost an hour and a half on this try of the show.
Yeah, this is.
I don't know what happened with that link. I've never had a problem like that with StreamYard. I must have done something.
You fixed it.
I must
So
have.
when are we on again? I have you in my book, but I don't have my book here.
Yeah, I can tell you, we are on again. Not too far away. August 13th. It's also a Sunday, and we're going to be doing pick-a-cards where we set up 3 choices for the people, and then we're going to record this, and then we're going to put it out, where we'll have 3 piles, and then each one of us will read for pile 1, and each one of us will read for pile 2, and then the same thing for pile 3. And so when people watch the video, they can pick one of those piles and get a big old reading from all 3 of us. So it's almost like a personal reading. So I think that's going to be really fun.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, it was Sibyl's idea, so gotta tell her.
Great idea.
I've seen other people do it, so it's.
No, it's great. It's really great. So
okay, this is super fun, and thank everybody for showing up. I see so many good questions and hellos and great comments. Thanks for showing up for us, and thank you. I'm so honored to be on with you, Cleo and Colleen. Thank you for doing collaboration, and
this was
fun.
This is really good. I was really looking forward to this. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for indulging me and going over all those charts. I get a little.
Thanks, Sibyl. I'm glad Sibyl showed up here and that we got to do this, because it's the first time I met you, and I've been watching your different shows, and I just love the way you do your thing. It's wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love doing this. It's hard to get on at first because you're putting yourself out there, but I don't know. I guess it's in my astrology chart.
Yes, very much.
I like to talk a lot. You can't shut me up.
Very much so. Same.
And the guides are always telling me stuff. So
that's wonderful. Great. Well, thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for everybody in the chat having to go out and come back in. I hope everybody found us. Definitely, you can watch on the replay the whole silly thing. And Cleo, thank you for your help with everything, and your readings were great. Sibyl, I always enjoy reading with you.
Wait, what? That got posted, the first thing where we went on and went off?
I don't think so. I don't know. I have no idea.
You can't make this stuff up. It's like, I cannot believe we all
Yeah,
went on.
it
And then
was
we were live, and then we went off, and then we went, and
Yeah.
everybody came back.
Yeah, it was on your channel. We know that it was bona fide on your channel, but it just would not show up on
Well,
my channel. So
We're for real. We're for
Yep,
real.
we are.
Real stuff happens in the real world. Like you don't get on the live, and then you got to go back on, and
yeah, that's
that
right.
happens.
That's right. Should happen.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
See you
Take
on
care.
the 14th, right?
Yeah, the 13th.
13th.
Sunday, August
The 13th.
13th,
What time? Eastern time.
7
7?
p.m.
Oh,
Eastern
party.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's what you're gonna see.
All
Okay,
right.
everybody. Thank
Cool.
you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See you later.
And we are.
Oh.
Mine thinks we're still live. Wait a minute. Well, how do I go off here?
Oh no, we're not going to be able to
We
end.
are on all night. This party never ends.